Hey guys, this is Spencer with Defense Training. I wanted to go over a little bit about training for self-defense, especially armed defense or really any kind of defense. It could be unarmed defense, martial arts, anything like that. But what I want to go over the mental aspect of it or the mental training of it and things we need to look for there. All right, so basically in our minds, if we haven't went there with our minds, we're not going to go there when we need to, when the attack happens, when the situation comes forward. We're not going to know what to do. So let's say you've got you've bought your handgun, you've got your concealed carry permit, you're carrying your gun. Now you need to practice with your gun to get proficient at it. Especially concealed carry drawing, because that's the hardest. You need to open carry draw, but super pay a lot of attention to the concealed carry draw. I see a lot of hang-ups, pulling the shirt up, pulling the jacket back, stuff like that. There's a lot of hang-ups. That takes a lot of practice, especially if you're going to expose yourself in situations that you really may need to draw it. Now, for the typical everyday person, possibly, you spotted that anomaly over here. You've got your situational awareness high, and you've spotted something going on, the anomaly, there's something that's out of place over here, and you can just get out. But especially for those of us that aren't going to leave, or those that might say, hey, what's this person doing? Because I know I'm armed and I don't want nobody else to get hurt. If this person starts to act crazy, I might try to help everybody else out. And if you are that person, you do need to, have your physical training, hands-on basically with your firearm. And your martial artist, the same thing. The biggest difference with the martial artist is typically with a martial art, we we practice our punches, we practice our sweeps, we practice our blocks, but we practice that with an opponent. So as far as my mental capability or my mental training, it's already there because my opponent or my partner is the attacker. Most of you out there aren't practicing with somebody attacking you. You're not doing the simulation rounds, you're not doing the shoot houses, you're not doing the virtual training. You don't actually have people attacking you. The airsoft training, airsoft's a great way. You can have an attacker with an airsoft gun, you've got an airsoft gun, you've got all your gear on. That's a good way to train. Paintball, the little paintball guns, that's a good way to train. But most, and I say most, and probably 95% or more don't train this way. Most out here get their gun or get their permit. Most out here don't do training with their gun, much less mental training, because we don't want that to happen to us. I don't want it to happen to me. However, I know that one of several things is going to happen. We've got what they call fight or flight. So you're either going to fight, you're either going to run, or you're going to freeze. If you haven't mentally prepared, you're probably going to freeze and then maybe run, and then maybe fight. But that freeze or that hesitation can get you in trouble, and that's where you need to mentally prepare. They've got the OODA loop and all this stuff that happens with our psyche, in our mental capacity, things that happen. We're behind the curve and all. I'm not getting into great detail with all that. I'm getting into the basics for the people that aren't studying armed self-defense and all this stuff in depth. So basically what happens if our mind hasn't went there, you physically will not go there. All right. Kind of like you have to hype yourself up from jumping off that high dive. If you ever remember when I was a little kid, we had this huge diving board, the real tall ones. And I walked up there, I was young, and I went up and I had to picture myself jumping off that diving board before I actually did it. And when I did it, I loved it, went back down. It's the same thing. Or those of you that there's a whitewater park close to us, and you basically just walk off this platform that's 40 or 60 feet in the air, and this this tension cable catches you. You fall for a little bit and then you catch. Or bungee jumping, the same thing. You have to mentally go there. You have to okay, and then you go because you picture yourself doing it. It's the same thing. If you haven't went there in your mind, you're not going to go there in reality. And for those of us that practice and those of us that train, you really need to practice stuff in your mind. Say, even if you don't practice a lot, what would you do if somebody kicked open your front door? Where would you go? Is your gun on you? Where's your gun located at? Have you staged it? Have you put it away? I stage my firearms. I have firearms staged all over the place. So I know where they're at. I know what I need to do. And I've sat in the living room numerous times. Now, granted, I am typically armed. I usually keep a gun on me at all times, just mainly because of what I do. And in all honesty, you wouldn't believe just because being an instructor of what I do, a pro gun guy, kind of, I'm not famous or anything, but I am on the internet. I have had a few death threats. Were they legit? I don't know. Nobody's tried it yet that I know of. Nobody's tried it. So I do keep a gun on me most of the time just in case. But I have sat there and I thought, okay, so I'm kicked back in my recliner. The door kicks open. What's my first action? And I've trained that with my wife and my kid. The door flies open. What's their first action? So what do you do? Do you all run out of the room, or do they run and you fight, or do you retreat basically and take cover and then fight if you have that ability? So that's things to consider when you go to the restaurant. If somebody come in with guns a-blazing, what would you do? Because it's going to be crazy. You need to get that in your mind. If you're at church, if you're on the safety team, what would you do? Guns a-blazing. If you're in a church like we're at, we've got front door guys. So are they going to come in the church and start shooting the place up? Probably not. They're probably going to come into the church, sit in the church during prayer. We all bow our heads. Now, if you're a tentative safety guy, you don't. You look up and you're looking around. You can listen to the prayer while you look. Jesus told his disciples to watch and pray. So we can watch and we can pray with the guy that's praying, up front. We can pray with them. So I can watch, and then that's when they're probably going to attack, because not as people are aware. So what would you do? What's your first actions? And I can tell you now that in that type of situation, in a crowded situation, my first actions are going to be, I know I have about 5 seconds. And within that 5 seconds, there's a lull, because it takes about 5 seconds for people to react to what's going on. Basically, the boom goes off. Everybody looks, what was that? I've got 5 seconds to react and get on target. So I'm already there. I'm ahead of their curve. I'm behind the shooter's curve, but I'm ahead of everybody else's curve. And I've thought that in my mind. If somebody pulls a knife on me at point blank range, I'm not going to be able to pull that gun. There's no way. If you go back and look at the church shooter, the guy pulled the 12 gauge out. He tried to grab his gun. He shouldn't have tried to. If anything, he should have rushed the dude. He would have had a lot better chance. That's things to consider. Somebody pulls a knife on me at point blank range, I'm going to block that knife and I'm going to hit them as hard as I can, square in their jaw or their nose or whatever I've got available right there. Their hip, whatever I can get to, do a leg sweep, something. It just depends on how they're standing, where they're located, whatever's going on, who's around me, what I can get on them, what I can do to them. Or I can block that knife down, then draw my gun and put 2 rounds in their chest. It just depends. But I've mentally prepared that in my mind. And when I go places, every restaurant I go to, I sit down, I think about it. It doesn't take but 20 seconds to think, okay, all right, we're good. Or when I go to church every time, I don't sit in the same seat. I sit roughly the same seat, but not all the time. I can't, because there'll be people that filled in and I've had to sit somewhere else. So especially when I've sat somewhere else, I scope the place out. I look, okay, what are my options? I get in my mind. I mentally prepare. That way I can act. I don't want to be behind that curve. I'm already going to be behind the shooter or the attacker's curve. I don't want to be behind my own curve of freezing then acting. I don't want that. I want to be able to, that boom goes off, I'm in it. I want to already have prepared. I'm going to pull my shirt up, grab my gun. As I'm grabbing, I'm turning to see what's going on. My head's going to be there before I get there with my gun, more than likely, depending on where I'm sitting, all kind of situations depend on that. But this is one of the things I wanted to bring forward was, if you've never mentally prepared, I really don't care how trained you are, how much bullets you put on paper, how many times you drew that gun. If you haven't mentally prepared with that, you're going to hesitate. And hesitation will get you killed. And we don't want that. So this is just something I wanted to bring forward, is to mentally prepare. You know, for us, it's kind of like meditating. You got these people that sit in the corner and they meditate. You mentally prepare. You meditate on it. You'd be like, okay, if they do this, I'm going to do this. And that's the way to go. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this to light. So hopefully you guys are mentally preparing. Hopefully you're playing all this out in your mind. As bad as it really is, we shouldn't ever have to worry about all this stuff, but we do. So that's one thing that another thing you need to put in your toolbox is mentally preparing. This is Spencer with Defense Training. Stay safe, stay armed. Please like, subscribe, and comment on this video below. Thanks.